$100,000. That was the number a potential client told me that she thought she needed to live comfortably in Vietnam for a year. Now, if you've ever been to Vietnam, you know that this is far more than you would ever need even to live comfortably. On the surface, the number sounds outrageous, but I could understand where it came from. When you've spent your whole life growing up in the United States, you're constantly told that 6 figures, well, nowadays more like 7 figures, is the benchmark, not only for success, but also for security. So when you start thinking about moving abroad, it's easy to assume that you would need the same in order to feel safe somewhere else. But that's not necessarily true. The problem is that a lot of women pick an income goal to move abroad based on fear instead of facts. And when you set the wrong income goal, your entire earning strategy can be off too. So instead of guessing or just choosing some arbitrary number that society convinced you is necessary, I'd rather you use real data to figure out what you actually need. Because working yourself into burnout to earn more than what you even need isn't freedom, even if it's outside of the US. But building enough income to live comfortably in a place that you love, that is what truly gives you the space to breathe and enjoy your life. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to calculate your number so you can make decisions from a place of clarity. But first, hey girl, hey, I'm Ariana, and I moved abroad in 2021 and haven't looked back since. Now I help women find their path to earn and thrive abroad. I'm walking you through all the expenses and savings that you should consider when estimating your monthly cost of living abroad. If you're one of those girlies who loves a shortcut, I've linked my guide down in the description box below, and it will walk you through step by step everything that we're going to cover today. So to start, you want to first estimate a realistic cost of living for the country or countries that you're going to. In order to do this, the first step is to think about how long you're going to be abroad. Are you looking to do a scouting trip? If so, for how many weeks or months? This is what you'll use as the base foundation for a lot of your calculations. If you're looking to move abroad and stay abroad full-time, you'll want to use a year as the foundation for your cost estimates. If you're someone who's still filling out what exactly you want to do, I recommend also using a year for your cost estimates as well. Now that you've got the time frame down, you'll want to research what the daily cost of living is for the country or countries you plan on living in. So this means you are looking at expenses for day-to-day living, not luxury style or vacation costs, unless that's the lifestyle that you're aiming for. But likely if you're looking to move abroad as like your way of life, you're probably not going to be living like you're on vacation every day. So this is really important to consider when doing the research for how much things cost. You don't want to rely on vacation vlogs or look at data and feedback from people who are there temporarily. Because when you are going somewhere and you're staying for a week, the price of accommodations is going to be drastically different per night when you are looking at going somewhere and renting a year-long lease. So these are the things that you'll want to consider. In addition to rent or accommodations, you also want to think about transportation, food, different activities that you might do regularly on the weekends, such as going on hiking trips, going to the beach, nightlife, those sort of things, going to see a show, right? Your cell phone plan, date for data, internet, those sorts of things. You want to also factor in beauty and wellness, shopping. If those are the things that you do in your everyday daily living, you're also probably going to want to do those things when you move abroad. So it's a good thing to factor this into your monthly cost of living, because the whole idea is that you want to be comfortable. And in order to do that, you probably want to live your lifestyle in the way that you've been accustomed to living. Some other expenses that I think often get forgotten would be health and medical. So thinking when it comes to health and wellness, if you are someone who likes to frequent the spa, for me, this looks like gym memberships, thinking about supplements, those sort of things, not just going to the pharmacy, getting sick, seeing a doctor, but also considering that as well when it comes to medical insurance, travel insurance, those sort of things, and then visas. When you are living somewhere that may require you to pay for a visa depending on how long you're there or what country it is, you want to factor this into your monthly. It may not be monthly, but you still want to factor this into your expenses as well. So those are the everyday living expenses that you want to use to come up with your number. You also want to consider your own personal expenses. So this can be things like outstanding bills that you are still responsible for in the US. If you're leaving behind a car that isn't paid off, or you have a house that you are still maintaining. If you have a storage unit, that's another price to consider that you want to factor into your monthly expenses, because just because you're not physically in the US doesn't mean that you don't still have to pay these things. Another one to consider are your own finance goals, right? Are you looking to pay off debt? Is that a goal of yours this year? Do you want to save a certain amount? Are you looking to invest a certain amount? You want to factor these into your cost as well. And then lastly, travel and vacation. If you plan to do some traveling in the country that you're staying in, maybe hopping to different cities, you want to factor in transportation, the accommodations for things like that. And of course, vacation. Likely, if you're moving abroad, you're like me and you love exploring and seeing this big, beautiful world. And you're going to want to take a vacation. Even though you're living in a destination that's outside of the US, you still might have the urge to go see some other places, and you don't want to have to limit yourself. So be sure to factor those in as well. So now that we have a clear number for cost of living that includes everything we need to be considering for our month-to-month expenses, now we need to identify the cost savings that come from making the move. Naturally, by leaving the US alone, it comes with some cost savings just because of how expensive the US is. But there are plenty of places that you can move to that have a lower cost of living. And so with that, you're going to be saving money month to month, because you're not going to be spending what you were spending back home in order to survive day to day. So you may see some extra cash coming in from your initial move when you are getting rid of things, when you're downsizing, right? You can only take so many suitcases with you wherever you're going. So you're likely to be selling or donating a lot of goods. Obviously, when you sell things, you're immediately getting cash back in hand. But also, if you are donating things, you can write those as a tax write-off for later. It also helps to see line by line the cost difference between what you've been paying in the US versus what you'll pay in your home abroad. So for example, when it comes to rent, if you're living somewhere and you're paying $2,000 in rent, but where you're moving to, the average cost for rent is $600 a month, you see right there immediate cost savings of like $1,400 that you won't be paying each month. Doing this line by line for all the items we talked about, rent, transportation, those sort of things, can help you to get full clarity on what savings you're really going to see each month. Again, if you want help with doing this, I do have a guide down in the description that you can use, and it will help you to break this down line by line so that you can see it. But it's really good to have a full picture, not only around how much things are going to cost, but also around how much money you really have to work with when you initially make the move. I think the awareness is so key. One, it can take off a lot of stress when it comes to thinking about how expensive it might be to move abroad. I think we automatically associate moving somewhere with a high expense, but when you can see the difference, it can really help to alleviate some of that stress. It also helps from a standpoint of managing your money. because you are seeing, even before you make the move, just how much additional cash flow you have at hand. And lastly, you want to research any tax advantages that might be available to you from making the move abroad. I won't go into detail about this because I am not a tax advisor or anything like that. But if you just Google tax saving strategies for U.S. citizens abroad, you'll see some opportunities that are out there that you may be able to use in order to have some additional cost savings. So now it's your turn. I'm curious to know which country or countries you are interested in moving to. And from your research, what have you seen is the estimated cost of living? As I mentioned, if you want a step-by-step guide to help you with calculating this number and implementing everything I talked about in this video, be sure to check the link in the description to download my free guide. Now that you have the hard data for how much it will cost for you to live abroad, and you know the potential cost savings your move can bring, you're ready to dive into the next step, which is creating an income system to help sustain your life abroad. Check out this video next, where I show you how to do just that. Thanks as always for watching. Be sure to share this video and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one.